Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
It's never too early to set expectations and goals for your child's education. The UA College Savings Plan provides opportunities that can help you reach your educational savings goals. Save in Alaska. Study anywhere. There is more information available by calling 1-888, the number 4, and then Alaska. This message sponsored by the UA College Savings Plan.
The National Weather Service.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us for today's edition of Alaska Weather. On the advisory map here, we've got the Copper River Basin here under the influence of a dense fog advisory. That's in effect now through tonight and possibly into early tomorrow morning. Some areas of visibility is down to a quarter mile this afternoon in dense fog. So low IFR across this area. Other areas it's kind of up and down. Other areas seeing better visibilities, but in toward Gulkana, pretty dense in there. Probably get Glen Ellen and actually some fog throughout most of the area there, while other areas are pretty good, especially higher elevations aren't quite as bad. Otherwise, nothing else going on warning or watch-wise. Yesterday's satellite showed several fronts, one washing out up here over the north slope as across the Brooks Range, another batch of moisture in frontal boundary there, southern Seward Peninsula down into the northeast Gulf of Alaska, and the third one back here with a low pressure area near Nikolsky, pushing or rotating a front northward. Then we had this system here sliding in across the Queen Charlottes, and that brought some moisture up to the southeast coast. We'll see on today's loop, that one now up inland, and then this next one pulling northeastward here. This had some pretty good winds with it, gusting up to 50 miles an hour at times here from the east and southeast, mostly from the east though across Bristol Bay, the northern areas there. Ahead of the front as the front pushed up early this afternoon. Koliganek seeing gusts around 50 miles an hour. And then lighter winds with a low center back through here sort of drifting off to the northwest. They're more in the 15 to 30, 35 mile per hour range on down the peninsula here. And then you get into some rain and lighter wind conditions, kind of westerlies though. Still gusting up to 35 there as that low center pulled northward of the eastern Aleutians. And then the band of snow showers back out to the west. You can see not a bad day out there over the central Aleutian areas. Most of those snow showers up to the north of the area there. So it looked like fairly light winds and some sunshine at times. Then the colder air sweeping down into the far western Aleutians here, Shemya down to 31 degrees and snow. And system moving out of the panhandle early on today. That rain tended to taper off slowly, but there still was some scattered showers around this afternoon, along with some areas of clouds and fog. And then this system, hard to see, back edge right there along the eastern Arctic coast, still bringing some light snow to the eastern Arctic coast this afternoon. That front pushing southward, bringing some clouds and snow in across the north slope, but clearing out behind here, and temperatures dropping back below zero behind that where the skies clear out. And that will continue to gradually edge its way southward. Today, right about in this position there across the north slope, some flurries, fog, clouds with that Arctic boundary as it comes southward. They're now moving out, clearing out, but already another batch of moisture dropping southward from the Arctic there, but still a ways off the coast. And then here's the position of that front bringing rain from southern Kodiak Island back across the Alaska Peninsula and the pretty gusty winds along with it. This front, once it got past St. Lawrence Island, the winds tended to diminish there this afternoon and the visibility's improved. Low pressure near the Pribilof Islands. Not too bad of a day there though. VFR conditions actually. At St. Paul Island, winds were pretty light there, snow showers back to the west. And again, the improving conditions over the Panhandle. Very weak front now over southern Cook Inlet, so that did bring some occasional rain and fog up along the North Gulf Coast during the day, and then that became more of a scattered rain or snow condition or some type of mixed precipitation here inland, but it was quite light, and then some areas of snow or flurries in over the interior, but nothing too terribly significant. And for tonight, we'll see this Arctic boundary kind of links up with whatever's left of that occluded front that moves northward. So there'll be an area of clouds and snow right through the central interior from Eagle back out toward Nome and then down into St. Lawrence Island. Breezes continuing that 15 to 25 mile per hour range here, St. Lawrence Island, a little stronger up through the Bering Strait, but nothing all that strong. You can see that next batch of moisture dropping southward in toward mostly toward the east side of the Arctic coast up there, and that may spread a little lower clouds and again increasing threat of some light snow flurries into that area later tonight. And then also a chance of rain approaches the southeast coast here, mainly the central areas. That'll be late tonight and on toward tomorrow morning, and kind of a development right in this area here. That's going to lift northward later tonight and into tomorrow. So that should pick up the winds, especially in the morning hours, possibly 25 to 30 knots or so along the North Gulf Coast briefly as that low center pulls northward. Just kind of a broad area southwest breezes here over the southeast Bering Sea and the Aleutians, or the Alaska Peninsula on out to the eastern Aleutians for some scattered rain and snow showers. And then for Wednesday, we'll see this low center coming northward here. So that'll bring a brief period of possible minimum gales along the eastern Gulf Coast, probably just small craft advisories back to the west. And as that pulls eastward, could see the winds pick up for a little bit around Kodiak Island from the west and northwest. And then we have the one front dying here as it moves across the southeast coast, but a stronger trough coming in behind it with the upper level system, the bulk of which is sliding southeastward. But enough of that will hang together to bring some gusty southeast winds, especially probably into the afternoon tomorrow. Winds will be southeast here along the coast, anywhere from 30 to 35 knots or 25 to 35 knots. And then in the afternoon, when that trough finally pushes through, they'll swing around to the southwest, diminish a little bit, but that might not take until tomorrow evening to happen. Otherwise, areas of blowing and drifting snow, St. Lawrence Island back up into the Bering Strait. Not so much over the Seward Peninsula, but the areas of snow off to the east. Clear and cold temperatures there. You can see that big high, sort of the southern part of it, just north of Wrangel Island. That's circulating a lot of cold air down into across the North Slope areas there. So well below zero, but the winds will be strongest here across the Chukchi Sea areas, and not so much over the east side for a change. And then taking a look at the outlook for Thursday, yet another trough ready to sweep down upon the Arctic coast there, but in the meantime, clear and cold, temperatures well below zero up in that area, and still this Arctic boundary right across the, right near the Alaska Range or through the Tanana Valley, a little bit farther to the south here, but becoming a warm front again, but very weak flow to the south of that system. So some areas of snow, but lighter winds for St. Lawrence Island. Light snow, more unlikely flurries along that boundary. Not too bad here over southern Alaska. Mostly cloudy, pretty dry with after the snow chance that comes through tomorrow night, or actually tomorrow afternoon here through south central Alaska with that one system. That should be over on Thursday, and some leftover rain and snow showers up along the North Gulf Coast. And then this next system spreading northeastward brings a good shot of rain into the southern southeast coast, and also an increase in the winds. You could see these easterlies pick up to 25 to 35 knots on the south coast, but lighter to the north if this system tracks in the pattern or takes a track that we expect it to. It should be west of the Queen Charlottes, and so the bulk of the moisture and wind will be sliding into the south of the Panhandle. Scattered snow showers continuing out here over the Bering Sea areas. Not too bad over the Aleutians. The next storm poised to move in Thursday night and on Friday into the western Aleutians. Temperatures this afternoon, 30s to near 40, in some cases even the lower 40s there over the southern southeast coast. Otherwise, Copper River Basin in the teens there, 16 at Gulf-Canada with a dense fog. Upper 30s along the North Gulf Coast where there was rain and fog reported off and on throughout the day. 27 at Palmer, 30 in Kenai, a 41 down at Homer, about the same in Kodiak at 39, up in the valley, 29 Talkeetna, and Tanana Valley ranging 10 to 15 degrees more or less, and up in the Yukon Flats area near or below zero, and the Arctic coast there where it's clearing out, Atasuk down to 20 below this afternoon. 3 degrees with the snow continuing over at Kaktovik, 7 Point Hope, and 18 at Kivalina. Lower 20s here, both at Deering and Shishmaref on the north side of the Seward Peninsula, up to 31 at Nome. McGrath at 16, otherwise 15 to 20 or so here through the western Tanana Valley into the northern Kuskokwim, and then markedly milder though down to the southwest with Bethel at 36, 38 degrees at Sparravon, and King Salmon coming in with 43 degrees. That looks like the warm spot in the state today. Upper 30s to lower 40s over the peninsula, upper 30s for the most part out over the Aleutians. Lows for tonight, well below zero here over the North Slope areas, down to maybe 25, 30 below possibly, and even dropping below zero here over the upper Yukon Valley. And of course, been below zero all day over Northway, and you'll continue that tonight. South Central Alaska, upper 20s to lower 30s, milder right along the coastline here into the 40s over the Panhandle. And then for highs tomorrow, 35 to 40 for the Aleutians, Pribilofs, and the Alaska Peninsula. Upper 20s to lower 30s here, South Central Alaska. Single numbers north of the mountains through the interior valleys, and even colder up there in the North Slope. Highs running 20 to 30 below or colder, especially south of the Arctic coast there, but still even out along the coast pretty chilly. And for flying weather, good VFR up there along the from the Arctic coast right down into the northern Koyukuk Valley and the Yukon Flats area. Look for some marginal conditions on the east side, an extensive area of IFR here back out toward the Yukon Delta coast, and also St. Lawrence Island through the Bering Strait. And then areas IFR along the coastline, pushing into the Panhandle. Pretty good out here to the west, not too bad, especially along the Alaska Peninsula. Kodiak Island becoming VFR, but some lingering lower stuff there along Shelikof Strait. Then areas of marginal VFR with snow showers out to the west. And for Anaktuvik, both Anaktuvik and Adigan will be VFR tomorrow. Lake Clark and Merrill, marginal VFR at times. Same thing for Rainy. And for windy, VFR could be occasionally marginal at times, not too bad, but for both Isabel and Mentasta, I'll make an optimistic forecast and go VFR for those passes and hope for the best. Otherwise, Tanita, marginal VFR. Portage, IFR becoming marginal in the afternoon. And for Chilkoot and White, marginal VFR. Freezing levels at the surface here across the northern Bering and north of Bristol Bay, and then right along the coastline to the Canadian side of the southeast coast, and then freezing levels ranging from 2,000 to 4,000 feet here in the east, and then a little bit nudged northward here, some milder air up toward the Alaska Peninsula. Icing threats, some scattered light to isolated moderate rime, maybe some slight, few areas of mixed icing out here to the west, but nothing very widespread and nothing too heavy at all. A little bit more organized area possible here over the southeast coast, and then again that extends back along the North Gulf Coast until that system moves through probably during the morning hours. Take a little longer to get through the Panhandle. Again, that may not occur until early in the evening. And the upper level wind flow chart, the Arctic jet here coming down, keeping it cold up over the northern interior there. Very weak flow here over the central and southern part of the mainland areas. This low center just south of the eastern Aleutians, that's going to track northeastward and bring that next storm system into the southern southeast coast on Thursday. And then at 9,000 feet, again, very light wind conditions here over the interior, maybe up to 15 knots. Northeasterlies, 40 to 55 knots across the Chukchi Sea. Southwesterlies, but only 25 to 30 knots there over the southeast Bering Sea. and then maybe up to 50 knots from the west-northwest over the western Aleutians. And the strongest winds will be out in that area at 3,000 feet as well. Kind of southwesterlies up to 25 at times. Light and variable over the interior with this weak low near the White Mountains. And then northeasterlies, 10 knots on the east side of the Arctic coast, picking up to 35 knots across the Chukchi Sea. And turbulence-wise, with those winds, occasional moderate chop, western Brooks Range, right down across St. Lawrence Island. Not too bad, really. Some areas of light to isolated moderate chop over the southwest coast and a ways inland. But again, at times with northwest winds or west-northwest flow, occasional moderate chop, Kodiak Island, the North Gulf Coast, and a bigger area turbulence out over the Aleutians. And after the break, I'll be back with the marine forecasts.
Ed, give me a hand.
Unfortunately, many of the old treatments can be dangerous.
Really, go on, we're all right.
For example, don't rewarm the whole body by putting the victim in a hot shower. A hot shower or tub rewarms the surface of arms and legs. This sends a message to the body that it's okay to open circulation to those cold extremities. Vital warm blood sent from the core rapidly cools as it passes through cold arms and legs. When it gets back to the heart, that shot of cold blood can cause an unusual heartbeat, which results in the heart muscle starting to shiver rather than pump. The patient then has a heart attack. Another old treatment is to give alcohol. It's also dangerous. Like a hot shower, it fools the body into thinking it's warm when it isn't.
Want to give him some coffee?
In fact, any liquid can be dangerous
No hot liquids.
because the hypothermia victim is not just cold. He may also be in shock, and you can't give any liquid to a shock victim. He could throw it up, draw the vomit into his lungs, and die from aspiration pneumonia.
Let's be real easy with him.
So, to treat hypothermia safely, be slow and gentle.
How you feeling, Hank?
Don't jar the victim. A hypothermia victim who is being rewarmed should be treated very gently. A sudden jar or shock can also cause an apparent heart attack. It is a fact that even though treatment is progressing, a hypothermia victim's body temperature continues to drop before it starts to rise again. The victim is very vulnerable at this time.
Nice and easy now.
To rewarm a hypothermia victim, use only those treatments that are always safe. The first part of treatment is to take them out of the cold to prevent further heat loss. At this point, the body may not be able to rewarm itself. Blankets will not rewarm a cold body. They only insulate. You need a heat source. First, wrap the cold arms and legs to keep them from rewarming too quickly as you attempt to rewarm the body core of the victim. Then, rewarm the high heat loss areas, the head, neck, armpits, sides, and groin of the victim. The most effective, safe way to rewarm hypothermia victims in the field is to use warm objects and body-to-body rewarming. Warm objects are literally anything that is warm, including warm rocks, lukewarm hot water bottles, warm heating pads, warm packs, or even warm potatoes. But be careful. Be absolutely sure that the objects are not hot. You can burn the victim because of their cold-induced numbness. Hypothermia victims won't be able to tell you if the object is too hot. Check on it yourself, like you would a baby's bath. If it feels uncomfortably warm to you, it's too hot for the victim.
This one towel. Let's get this under his neck. Got a stocking cap ready? Yes. Just head up and slide it on. Okay, take it easy. Okay. Okay, Hank, lay your head down nice and easy. Okay. Let's see if we can't start warming up the sides. Let's go body to body. Just get your shirt off, right?
Body-to-body rewarming is when one or more warm, healthy people embrace the victim within some insulated shelter such as blankets or a sleeping bag. If this treatment is used, one should continue the treatment for at least an hour.
Okay, just take it easy now. We're going to stay here until you get a little bit warmer, okay?
Oh, man, stay there forever. Wow.
Okay.
These rewarming treatments are safe, slow, and gentle. Don't rush them, and be sure to protect the victim from further cold and from shocks or sudden moves. To safely live and survive in a cold environment, You have to know about hypothermia. Hypothermia is the lowering of body core temperature. It's prevented by having adequate shelter for the body, proper clothing. Recognize hypothermia by the victim's physical symptoms and their exposure to the environmental conditions that cause it. Avoid total rewarming of the body. Do not give any liquids, especially hot liquids or alcohol. It's treated with warm objects or body-to-body rewarming, which is safe, slow, and gentle. Hypothermia is a physical condition. It affects the body. Yet a victim's will to live is often the decisive factor in whether or not they will survive.
Well, I always thought survival was physical. You know, if you was really strong, you could make it. But for some reason, I just said to myself, oh, heck, I'm breathing, I'm alive, I'm going to stay with it as long as I can. I did have a lot of water in my suit, and I already had hypothermia before I hit the beach. And mainly, it was really hard because I couldn't swim. I didn't have no goal. It was just lay back in the water for the night and see where I was in the daytime. And of course, I didn't know if I'd be near land or not. I was hoping I would be. And well, it just got to be a battle with myself on thinking of the positive things.
It's a fact that people with mild cases of hypothermia have apparently given up and died, while others have survived under conditions we'd never believe possible. To know what it is, know how to prevent it, how to recognize it, and how to treat it. When was the last time you shivered from the cold?
Don't take your eye off of him!
Hypothermia is the lowering of the body core temperature. The best prevention for hypothermia is to stay dry.
Get those clothes off him!
It makes good sense to treat him for hypothermia.
Give me a hand.
Many of the old treatments can be dangerous.
Come on, we're all right.
Don't rewarm the whole body by putting the victim in a hot shower.
Want to give him some coffee?
You can't give any liquid to a shock victim.
How you feeling, Hank?
Be slow and gentle.
Nice and easy now.
Blankets will not rewarm a cold body. You need a heat source. Lukewarm hot water bottles, warm heating pads, warm packs, or even warm potatoes.
Okay, just take it easy now. We're going to stay here until you get a little bit warmer, okay?
Oh, man, stay there forever. Wow.
Welcome back. There's a trough kind of sliding down off to the southeast, but the entire trough will be swinging eastward slowly. And so you'll be starting out with southeast winds here along the coast tomorrow in the 25 to 30 knot with higher gust range. And then they may not become southwest like this until sometime during the afternoon, or even maybe not until about this time tomorrow. Lighter winds over the inside waters, but some higher gusts. And then it looks like could get a good shot of south winds, at least for a short period of time on Thursday there through Lynn Canal. Otherwise, southeast 15 to 20. And then that next storm coming in from the southwest could kick these winds here on the south coast back up to gales from the east. And for the North Gulf Coast tomorrow, any threat of gales or small craft advisories will be in the morning as that low center pulls northward, northeast 20 for Prince William Sound. Small craft advisories here behind it, and then lightening up over toward Chillicothe Strait. Pretty light winds here across Cook Inlet. And on Thursday, lighter winds everywhere, about the same directions. Westerlies 15 to 20, and then probably small craft advisories down here towards Sitkinak. But not so for Chillicothe Strait. Light northerlies are variable to north for Cook Inlet. Northeast 15 for Prince William Sound. Easterlies at about 20 at times for the North Gulf Coast. Bristol Bay southeast, light tomorrow. South to southwest at 20 for the peninsula. And the area southwest of Kodiak, 15 knots. Those may pick up to about 20 to 25 knots on Thursday in that area, and small craft advisories here on the Pacific side of the peninsula. Winds will stay light though for Bristol Bay. The Aleutians, westerlies 25 to 30 knots, taking a turn to the northeast here, or from the southwest to northeast at about 20 for the eastern Aleutians. And then for Thursday, lighter winds out west, possible gale force winds here on the north side of things there on Thursday, otherwise small craft advisories. Out in the Bering Sea, the northern areas, St. Matthew Island, mostly to the west there, see 30-knot winds, and then easterlies at 25, northeast 30 for St. Lawrence Island, and then down in this area where that trough axis in front is, southeast 15 to 20 for Kuskokwim Bay on out to St. Paul Island. And then for Thursday, southwest 20 here for the Pribilofs, up along the southwest coast, south of Nunivak Island, southeast at 20. Easterly still on the brisk side here, but more northerly in direction towards St. Lawrence Island. And for the Arctic coast, it'll stay light wind-wise here on the west side, and then gradually increasing up to 30 knots from the northeast, from Cape Lisburne all the way down to Wales. And that wind direction really won't change much there. Still looking at brisk wind advisories here for the Chukchi Sea. Gale force winds, though, at times there along the Cape Lisburne Point Hope zone, and then dropping back off to 15 to 20 on the west side. Pretty light winds for the central coast. And then could see those winds pick up again to brisk wind advisory levels there over toward Kaktovik. And for tonight, again, this Arctic boundary edging its way southward here in the interior. That's going to pick up some leftover moisture. Probably look for a pretty widespread area of light snow or flurries here across the central interior. A little more hit and miss down here to the south. And then this weakening frontal boundary will bring some rain and snow in over Bristol Bay back to Kodiak Island. Low developing in this area tomorrow brings a chance of snow up to Cook Inlet and Anchorage, maybe 1 to 2 inches. That would be the later in the day, like in the afternoon hours, and continue into the evening before shutting off. Otherwise, rain and snow again along the North Gulf Coast at times, and pretty wet there over the Panhandle, but clear and cold up over the North Slope and the Arctic coast. This system here will push right up to the northeast and bring some wind and rain into the southern Panhandle, but not too bad up to the north, drying out over south central Alaska, clear and cold over the central and northern interior. Good night.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
It's never too early to set expectations and goals for your child's education. The UA College Savings Plan provides opportunities that can help you reach your educational savings goals. Save in Alaska. Study anywhere. There is more information available by calling 1-888, the number 4, and then Alaska. This message sponsored by the UA College Savings Plan.